Hello, 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 welcome once more. This is Ahmed Rashid bringing you the 5 Lives, 5 Elves series, and we've just begun Elf-4, who has had a very nice, promising beginning with just a few hitches of bad luck, which he's actually managed to turn to his advantage. I very nearly died to a couple of wargs early on, but after that unsightly disaster, it's been a smooth sailing, in fact better than smooth sailing. I have accumulated a ridiculous number of plus arrows, I think 66 plus 4 arrows right now, and have been skilling up effectively so that my bow and arrow skills are very high. As I've discussed in previous videos, I consider Mephitic Cloud an almost necessary spell, and he has got Mephitic Cloud where he needs to. So, without any further ado, I guess one further bit of ado, and that's that he's currently working with Okuwaru, and as such I'm going to need to get invocations up to bring heroism to excellent, or at the very least not at great, because the last thing you can afford when you need heroism is for it not to work. Without any other further ado, it's time for the Lair. So here he goes. Time to do what he does best and kill stuff. I turned on heroism not because I need it, but because I want to train invocations. It's going to burn. Using invocations using heroism costs both MP and piety. The MP cost is negligible. I think it's like 2. So it might be serious on a caster, but on a non-caster I've got nothing else to do with my mana except the occasional Mephitic Cloud. I'm going to drop all these arrows and pick them up later. So I also have I'm trying a new a rule where I never carry more than 200 arrows and try never to have less than 100 arrows. 100 is enough for most situations, and oh my god, I nearly died because I was spamming. Never ever spam keys. It's a great way to get yourself killed. Let's go ahead and use heroism. Wouldn't you believe it, I actually kind of sort of need it right now. Make sure that this guy goes down fast. Yeah, Herald isn't a big deal. He's easily to Mephitic and all, but anybody whom you ignore while they hit you 4 times becomes somewhat of a big deal. Especially if you're too busy just hitting F-click, F-click, F-click. Yeah. I'm very free about memorizing stuff because 9 out of 10 I'd say I'm not going to use it, and I'm not going to use the extra spell levels either. Even on casters I generally have spell levels to spare right up until the end, so yeah, you get a spell level every time you level up spell casting pretty much, as well as every time you level up your character. So you can see how I'd accumulate them. Especially since the only spells I really kind of sort of want / need are Mephitic Cloud, an early Magic Dart, and maybe a Blink later on for a little bit more dodginess. Alright, plenty of slaying gets done here. Invocations is still not trained, and we just got our first God Gift of Arrows, so it begins. Now, the principle behind this whole ammo thing is that if you'll recall from my last run, I was almost always overweight limit, and I think a big part of the reason that happened was because I had so much permafood, but even towards the end when I didn't carry any permafood, I was still overweight a lot. And I attribute that to the fact that I carried a truly ridiculous, by almost any standard, number of arrows with me. If I actually work my way through 115 arrows without having the chance to go back for them, that really reflects that I've done something wrong with my fighting. So, should not be as concerned about maintaining this huge stock of arrows. Problem is, it's a very natural move to make because, you know, you're going through the dungeon, you're doing your thing, and then it's like, hey, I don't want to leave anything behind, I want to take everything with me. I see more arrows, I get more arrows. I get a God Gift of Arrows, I take more arrows. So what I need to get in the habit of doing is carrying 100 with me when I leave my storeroom, and never accumulating more than 200 total. That should hold me in good stead. Right now I'm at 93, 120, that's plenty. And 80 more, you know, that I have some slack. Ring of Wizardry. What use is that to me? Leave that along with the Ring of Magical Power. Floor 1 is complete. Oops. Whoa. These are dispersal arrows. Nice. Dispersal arrows are real lifesavers against Hydras. They make even some of the strongest enemies a little bit easier to deal with. As long as they're not, you know, invulnerable or immune. I'm debating whether or not I even want to get a shield this time around. Last time I got shields, it slowed down my archery no matter what I did. I think I'll settle for getting a good buckler and leave it at that, because a buckler you only need like 9 levels of shield training to nullify the loss. A full-on shield takes a lot longer. Still sacking just about every corpse. I got an Amulet of the Gourmand early on in this run, so that lets me be a lot more free with when and if I choose to eat. I like staying at very full for the most part, but you know, if I get a rat corpse I can ignore it and wait for something a bit more meaty, like a troll corpse or a centaur corpse or something. Sure takes a lot of shooting to take down a spiked frog. I've said it before and I'll say it again, they are one of the stronger enemies that you're going to encounter in the early Lair. And they're also immune to Mephitic, so, you know, there goes your standard disable and run away, and they're also fast. Much like Hydras, they present a lot of the same problems. Yeah, I'm pretty much exclusively just going arrows here, but I'm gonna remember to turn on heroism right now. Not because I need it again, but because it'll help boost my invocations training. Keep sacking corpses wherever I go. Heroism on again. Perfect. If I kill that hippogriff with heroism on. There we go. Invocations gained. Let's go ahead and crank invocations up immediately, along with armor. Let's turn off the focus training on longbows and just leave it at ordinary level of training, and turn off fighting altogether for the time being. We'll turn everything back on by the by, but for now I want invocations up pronto. I actually want to turn on traps and doors and just passively let it get to level 5 at least. I know that's not enough to detect everything, but that should be enough to prevent myself from... that'll give me a fighting chance to not fall into pits. This is just a bad place to engage. Thank God for dispersal, right? So, not on purpose obviously, but you know, accidentally, I once fired an ice arrow from a flame bow, and it's interesting what happens is the fire obviously puts out the ice, and the result is that you shoot an ordinary arrow. Kind of funny, I thought. Yeah, man, that's awesome, when you can just stand in front of a hippogriff and shoot stuff. Oh wow, everything just leveled up skill-wise. That hippogriff was worth quite a bit of experience, I'm guessing. Alrighty, I am pretty close to the point where I need to establish a stash, I would say. Especially given the floor I'm on. These guys aren't worth a lot of meat, and they're poisonous for what meat they leave, but they're numerous, which means, and they're fast, so put that all together and they're probably worth a fair amount of piety. Especially if I sack all these corpses. Yep, my piety's up to level 4 out of 6 pips, which is great. Okay, I'm gonna have to establish a stash here pretty soon. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna try and go without setting up a full stash right now, because I know that that's kind of a tedious thing, and I don't want you guys to just have to sit through me deciding painfully what to keep and what not to. But for now, I'm just gonna shuck a lot of stuff that's weighing me down, and later on, when I stop the run for today and I'm out of time, I'll be sure to set that stash up before I start up again. And I promise I'll try not to do anything too risky. I wouldn't want to die without you guys seeing how it happened. Ha ha ha. Nor will I advance. Okay, I think that should about do it for dropping stuff immediately. There we go. I was wondering why these potions were generally red potions. This is actually not true, it's just how it feels to me. Red potions can be potions of blood, so I'm used to them being negative potions. Occasionally they aren't. This time it was a poisonous potion, so whatever. Bow of Frost is a must, because if I know my snails right, they're cold-blooded. And cold-blooded creatures will be slowed. Not that it really matters to a snail, but whatever. I'll cut it apart with my sword. Poison would be the ideal way to deal with this guy, actually. It'd cancel out his regeneration. In fact, do I have poisonous arrows? Yeah, I seem to remember I got a gift of those. There we go. Now he's poisoned. That should slow his regeneration. Nope, he just sat through it. Got him. Okay. On we go. Iguanas will give a fair amount of meat usually, so, and the meat they give is always guaranteed to be edible, so, as opposed to, you know, some which are contaminated corpses that may or may not make you sick. And you can tell because it doesn't show up in brown. Alright, I only got 2 chunks. That wasn't as much as I was hoping for. Apparently at some point a frog died here, probably to a trap. Yep. There's the trap. Invocations, evocations. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, that's good enough for now. Oh, wow, they're all asleep. Almost feel bad waking them up. We're just gonna send a bolt of cold right down through the middle of their ranks and try and get multi-kills here. And ran out. Bolt of fire then. There we go. That'll thin their numbers a little bit. Because remember, I can't do point-blank mephitic clouds yet, and killing this snail may take a long time. But once he goes in his shell, he won't deal any damage, so... Oh, and look how fast my health regenerates on account of the trollish leather armor. Forget that awesomeness sometimes. Come on, give me something to mephitic. Alright, they're not giving me a target, so I'm just gonna spam it all around them, and eventually they'll walk into it. Because, you know, rats are not very well known for their intelligence. It'd be so cool if they included rats as a playable race. Just imagine an animated rat, you know, with bipedal, with humanoid level intelligence. Probably develops poison as its life continues, and immunity to poison. I'm using the Mephitic here, spamming them primarily to reduce his defenses, because when you're confused you don't guard quite as well. But now that he's inside his shell, I don't know if it matters. Got him. Hunger status is up, piety is at 4 pips, which is reasonable. Clearing out Lair 3 is proceeding apace. Let's go with the generic bow here, and poison arrows a couple, then generic arrows. Just start chopping at him. I really do need a better blade soon, because this unenchanted, unimpressive falchion is just that, unimpressive. And without serious longsword skills backing it up, it's not even like I can make a lot out of it. Heck, I don't even have much strength to be dealing damage with. New book, huh? Let's see what we got here. Firebrand. Freezing aura, poison weapon. Interesting. Now if I know these spells correctly, what you can do is you can put those statuses on stuff. For example, I can turn an ordinary bow and arrow into a freezing bow and arrow. And once it's on there, I can use it like a bow and arrow of frost. And of course, it'll go away with time, but scrolls of vorpalization make it permanent. I wouldn't mind having a poisonous bow and arrow because, you know, many enemies will resist poison, and for them it's just, you know, the same. The enemies that don't resist poison will all get poisoned by each arrow I fire, even if it's a burning arrow, and that would be awesome. Alrighty, down we go. When you can't see anything, stay on the stairs and prepare to run away. Because if I had walked out, I'd have been ambushed by a hippogriff. And we all know what happened to Malfoy when he was ambushed by a hippogriff, right? Right. Out of school for weeks, that poor boy was. Okay, new staircase, because I saw a fire drake coming down that way, and I don't want to lose any good scrolls to him. What am I going to drop? What am I going to keep? Oh yeah, this empty wand of cold. Actually, no. I'm going to read the scroll of recharging, the scroll I think is a scroll of recharging over it. Apparently I don't have that scroll with me anymore. Must have put it upstairs somewhere. I see a lot of creatures that I don't want to deal with right now. Certainly not all at once. So we're going to Mephitic in that direction first, Mephitic in this direction second. And now we're going to wield the Bow of Frost and fire frost arrows at fire drakes. Somehow I don't think they like being turned cold very much. Something about the word fire in their name tipped me off. Okay, that's another kill. Another sacrifice. There should be a fire dragon somewhere around here. There he is. Don't want to give him a clear shot. So I'll just Mephitic where he needs to walk to get a clear shot. If he doesn't walk there, it gives me a chance to get around. If he does walk there, well, Mephitic's already done his job now, hasn't it? There we go. He's dead. Another clear. Let's just start searching around this floor now with my bow and arrow out. That's such a beautiful, beautiful Mephitic cloud. Like, you know, when you play D&D, if you play D&D, you wait for the time that your 5x5 spell will hit 25 targets. Well, here's a 3x3 spell that hits 7 targets and makes them all kill each other because of their close proximity. You couldn't ask for a sweeter Mephitic Cloud than that. And the timing couldn't be better either, because my piety has now gotten so high, soon I'm going to be eligible for armor gifts. In fact, I'm already at 5 pips of piety. I'm technically eligible for armor gifts right now. Or, you know, weapon gifts. I've still only gotten ammo gifts, but hey, I don't complain. It's all good. Took too many Mephitics to get off. I don't want to be turned to stone by a basilisk at this range, so I'm going to get away from them and fight the frog instead, while the Mephitic is on them. I'm not going to attack the Goliath beetle until, you know, everything else is cleared up. He's too slow to force me to fight him, hopefully. I'm more worried about the gaze of the basilisk that turns me to stone, so let's eliminate the basilisk as a threat first. Because if I turn to stone and am then attacked by a Goliath beetle, or an edge-egged snail, that will not end well for me. I mean, it might, but might not. It's a big might. Wolf is wounded. Oh my god, those rats are still clawing at each other. Rat bastards. That's 3 miscasts in a row. I'm gonna go for a 4th. Got him. That should aid my escape. I have no mana right now, so this is not a good time to get into a pitched fight. Let's see, I'm gonna go diagonally, knock out the griffin, take the rats to the face, and actually I'm gonna move right so that I can try and get a multi-Mephitic off. Or at the very least do that to block the way out. Okay, looks like I'm gonna be fine now. I should get enough mana in no time to, yep, do this. I'm still actually getting credit for a lot of kills because of all the Mephitical murders that are going on. Ah, come on, come towards me, Papa. Yeah, those two are toughs to fight. Either of them alone will take several hits to kill. To fight them both together, they will just, you know, tank for each other, basically. So I'm just going to let this guy come after me a little bit. Get him nice and away from the fight. Mephitic and poison. So I'm going to take him out. Where's my poison arrows? And that should be enough. There we go. Giant slug is down. There's the croc. Actually, I'm going to eat the croc. What a croc. I ate it. Frost, and let's go as far back as possible to keep the maximum number of hits, and use frozen arrows against the Hydra. There we go, he's down. Down and out. And sacrificed. Not a human sacrifice, unfortunately, so wouldn't work for evil gods, but I guess Okuwaru isn't an evil god. Spider form, poison weapon, poison cloud, summons scorpions, toxic radiance, poison cloud. Not interested in any of these. Let's read some of these un-ID'd scrolls, the ones I have the most of first. Detect curse, scroll of fog, curse weapon, enchant weapon, random uselessness. Let's drop all of the detect curse scrolls, and I guess I don't have anything else to drop, so yeah. Still need to eat. Always need to eat. Chronic problem. Wield my off bow. The reason I switched to non-frost bow ever is because I don't know. I know that arrows of frost are twice as likely to be mulched by the... So the way the mulching algorithm works, for those of you who are curious, is they first run it through the arrows through one meat grinder to figure out whether or not they mulch. So dispersals, for example, always come up in that as yes, must mulch. Fire and ice arrows have double the likelihood as ordinary arrows. After they're done with that calculation, they ask the question, okay, if it was going to get mulched, what is its enchantment level? And for anything that's enchanted, there's an automatic saving throw, which has for a % chance to not get mulched. In the case of bow and arrow, for example, plus 4 arrows, that number is close to 80%, I believe, and plus 5 arrows, it's over 80%. For plus 9 arrows, it's 90%. So there's definitely an exponential thing going on there. What I would recommend is don't think too much about it, because if you're using arrows like I do, primarily based on whether or not they're going to disappear, you're going to end up not using arrows against the target that you really ought to have. Always ask yourself the question, have you ever lived long enough to see that being a problem? And if the answer is no, then maybe you should make it a priority to actually kill stuff instead of worrying about whether or not you'll have ammo for the future. The methods I've outlined in my previous run and in this run of, stalling for decent ammo, waiting for Okuwaru to gift you stuff, and then making do with his gifts, then finally enchanting a huge stack to fill out your ammo meter. So far that seemed relatively effective to me, though I admit that this run in particular I got lucky. Instead of having to waste a bunch of enchant scrolls, I was just given a ton of these plus 4 arrows before I even had to worry about it. But even in general, it's much less of a concern to whether or not you're going to make full use of your ammo. It's much less of a concern whether or not your ammo will disappear, and much more of a concern whether or not you're ever going to have the opportunity to live long enough to use it. So, for God's sakes, shoot things. Don't worry about losing your ammo. Just make sure you have an end game plan in mind for where you're going to get it eventually. Okie dokie, I think this is probably going to be a decent place to stop. I've reached the 5th floor of the Lair, and that makes, by the definitions in the 5 Elves, 5 Lives challenge, this elf has already become a success story. He worships Okuwaru, he has high piety, he's got a seriously decent armor set, AC 12, evasion 12, though, we're waiting on good enchanted stuff as well. Training up invocations. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have Okuwaru's first ability at excellent already. Yep. But I want the second ability to be at very good, or higher. You've got a spammable Mephitic Cloud, Troll Armor, and archery skills that make Robin Hood jealous. Assuming Robin Hood existed, and would be jealous of an elf that dressed in green and was good at archery and was kind of small, and hey, was Robin Hood an elf? Anyway, I will catch you guys later, and thanks for watching this run. When you see me next, I will have established my stash on the 2nd floor of the Lair somewhere. So, see you guys then. Bye.